My name is Cornelius Nomeshi. I'm a medical doctor from Ghana. I completed my MPA degree at the Harvard THM School of Public Health this past summer. Last year, during my application process, I had the pleasure of working with Dr. Banda Khalifa, who is a friend and a senior colleague. Dr. Banda's knowledge and experience of the graduate application process made it easier to write an outstanding personal statement, also aim for the right test course and finding the right people to write recommendation letters for me. He also gave me a really good insight about the funding landscape available for me for my education. I was able to get admission into most of the top schools that I applied for, including Johns Hopkins, Columbia University, Boston University, and then Harvard University. Yeah, so if you are actually looking to advance your studies and you're looking for a good and friendly coach, I'll recommend no other person than Dr.
Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Banda Khalifa, a PhD student at Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health and an MPH MBA Summer Scholar alum. I've navigated a graduate school application process, gaining admission into institutions like Harvard, Yale, Columbia, and Johns Hopkins. And now I'm here to help you on your journey. Remember, the journey to graduate school may seem tough, but with the right tools and mindset, you'll be on your way to success. Don't forget to check out my other videos for more tips and insights. Until then, keep learning, keep growing, and keep pushing forward. Dr. Banda signing up.
Hello everyone, I am Emmanuel Animashan. I'm a Nigerian physician. I met Dr. Banda sometime last year. I remember I had a very difficult time trying to prepare my application packages to schools of public health in the United States, and I went online in search of information, and then I came across his LinkedIn profile. I remember I connected with him, and then I spent a long day going through his profile, and I found really very interesting things where he had shared insights into a lot of the application, a lot of components of the application process. I also eventually got to follow his YouTube account. I saw a lot of videos, and I saw that he had a lot of stuff that were quite inspiring. For one, I liked the fact that he had gone through the process. He had really nice admission offers when he was going to move to the United States, and that gave me some sort of assurance that he had gone through it, and I could as well go through the same process that he had gone through using the advice that he had given. It was really helpful. He also organized a couple of live sessions, I remember, where he brought in faculty, people who were in charge of admissions in some of these schools, and that was really very helpful for me. And I followed this process, basically I followed through with everything that he recommended, and I got really good results. At the end of the application cycle, I got admitted into Johns Hopkins University, Harvard, Yale, Emory, and I mean, those were I really didn't apply to much schools because I sort of believed in the processes that he had outlined, and I got admitted into the schools that I applied to, and I got really good scholarship offers too. I eventually chose to come to Hopkins, where I'm currently enrolled in the MPH dual degree program, and I must say it was also very helpful in selecting which school I would eventually come to, because I had a really tough time trying to decide. When you have really good offers, you have a hard time deciding, and it was very helpful. I recommend that everyone who is applying to schools of public health or to graduate school generally in the United States should definitely follow Dr. Banda on his LinkedIn, his YouTube, follow him everywhere, and you can be rest assured that he's always ready to answer your questions and attend to your concerns. You don't even have to necessarily always speak with him. Just by following his pages and following up with the activities, you definitely are on a good path.
Hi, my name is USC Mann, and I'm a physician from Ghana. 2 years ago, I decided to apply for the dual degree MPH and MBA at Hopkins. So I went onto the Hopkins website and looked for current and past students who had gone through the program. And I was happy to see a Ghanaian face there. I saw Dr. Banda on the Hopkins website. So I looked him up on LinkedIn, reached out to Dr. Banda on LinkedIn, because I had specific questions about the dual degree MBA MPH program here and about the summer scholarship as well, because I was interested in, he was doing the program under the summer scholarship. He answered my questions, helped me assess my fit for the program, and down the line also talked me through how to communicate with school officials with some of the different questions I had and who to talk to as well. So fast forward, today I'm here at Hopkins, a dual degree student pursuing my MBA and MPH. I'm a summer scholar and I go into all the schools I applied. So if you're thinking of applying for graduate school here, whether it's an MPH or a PhD program, I recommend watching his videos on YouTube and LinkedIn because they have very helpful information in there. Thank you. Who to talk to as well. So fast forward, today I'm here at Hopkins, a dual degree student pursuing my MBA and MPH. I'm a summer scholar and I go into all the schools I applied. So if you're thinking of applying for graduate school here, whether it's an MPH or a PhD program, I recommend watching his videos on YouTube and LinkedIn because they have very helpful information in there. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another enlightening episode of the Scholars Table. As usual, I'm your host, Dr. Banda Khalifa, PhD student at the Bloomberg School of Public Health. As usual, our platform is dedicated to shedding light on the graduate school application process by engaging distinguished personalities from various academic institutions. Today, we are very honored to have Dr. Seth with us. Dr. Seth is an associate professor in the Department of Pharmaceutical and Health Economics at USC Mann, and a senior fellow at the USC Leonard Schaffer Center for Health Policy and Economics. So his research has been featured in reputable journals and major media outlets and has significantly impacted the healthcare policy discussions. Today, he will be sharing insights into the graduate programs that is offered by University of Southern California, the application process and how prospective students can better position themselves to apply for this particular program. So we are going to primarily focus on the PhD in Health Economics program and the Master of Science in the Pharmaceutical Economics and Policy program. I believe I shared both programs last week. So both programs are actually designed to breed thought leaders capable of navigating or influencing the complex healthcare landscape. So I ask you to be engaged in the conversation. If you have questions, please drop them in the comment section. We are currently live on LinkedIn and on YouTube. So if you have questions, please drop your questions. So without wasting much time, let me invite Dr. Seth. Good afternoon, and thanks for joining us today.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Great. So before we begin, could you usually I like our guests to kind of shed some light on their academic and professional journey. So for you, what has been the journey like in terms of your academic and professional journey, and what has led you to your current position as a director of graduate studies?
Sure. I'm an economist by training. So I got my PhD in economics from Columbia many years ago now. And from Columbia, when I graduated and finished, I went to a research institute in Southern California, Rand Corporation. And so at Rand, I did policy work focusing on legal and insurance issues, and so gradually became more and more interested in our healthcare system. So I didn't actually train in a health economics program specifically. I kind of came into healthcare and the health policy. And so I was at Rand for a while, and then in the late 2000s, a group of economists, not myself at the time, but some others at Rand, left to form the Schaefer Center for Health Policy and Economics here at USC. And that was, I think, really kind of a game changer for the institution. It really, I think, helped, in this world of health policy specifically, really kind of helped put USC, establish them as a leading academic institute in the area. And so I actually, I was at Rand for a few more years, but then eventually came over to USC. The center's grown over the time and brought, people from all over in terms of, health policy researchers. And so I came to USC originally into the medical school. So I didn't actually join the pharmacy school originally. I was in the medical school. And so I taught in our graduate program occasionally, but I wasn't as directly involved. But it was, coming from a research, Rand wasn't a research, it wasn't a teaching job specifically. They do have a graduate program at Rand, and I taught there. And then I would teach periodically, but I was originally in a research program specifically in the medical school here at USC. But I really love teaching, being part of the educational process. And so when the graduate program here in the department, the longtime director, Jeff McCombs, stepped down, I actually came over to the department here to take over as director of the program and to be able to get more involved. So I'm actually teaching more courses, working more with students, and trying to help carry the history of the program forward, and help keep it going, keep it improving. So that's how I wound up as a graduate director.
I think that's really an interesting journey so far. I can only tell the amazing work that you've been doing in the field. So I mean, for most of my networks or my followers, most of them MDs, PharmDs, people working in the healthcare field and beyond. And I often get questions with regards to what can we do in terms of graduate school application, i.e., people with PharmDs want to know what are the options for them in terms of probably getting a master's degree or a PhD degree. So when I saw this flyer, I was really excited about it because I've really heard about a couple of programs that are really focused on pharmaceutical health research. So I, wanted to get you on a program and help for you to explain this to us. So for you, what really, with your time being at USC Mann, what has been some of the highlighting moments, or why do you think the program there, it's really part of the top programs, or what sets it apart from other programs in pharmaceutical health services?
Sure. I think the way we like to think of our program is, we're an economics program for people that know that they're interested in health and health policy,
Okay.
in the healthcare industry. So, as I said, I went to just a general economics program, and kind of learned about health and came after my career. But a lot of people, nowadays especially, it's such an important topic. Uh, Policy-wise here in the U.S. and globally, that more and more people kind of know that this is the area they want to go into, and we
Yeah.
provide the ability to kind of jump in from the beginning and tailor an educational experience around becoming a health economist. So that's, I think, how we kind of put our program out there, with a particular
Okay.
focus in pharmaceutical economics as well. So what does that mean? We offer, I think, very rigorous training comparable to what you get in the top programs in economic theory and econometrics, but we also provide other training in other areas that are particular to health, such as cost effectiveness analysis, um, epidemiology, health status measurement, things that you wouldn't get except in electives, and you would have to go looking for in other economics programs. And so that's, I would think, one thing that kind of sets, I think that's, one part of it. The other part
Yeah.
of it, I would say, that helps set us apart, is the presence of the Schaefer Center that I
Mm-hmm.
mentioned.
Okay.
If you go to our the Schaefer Center website, healthpolicy.usc.edu, you can see all the great work that they're doing. And what you really have there, you have people doing really groundbreaking research in pretty much any area of health policy that you might be interested in. So this includes things that are very particular to the pharmaceutical markets, or really the life sciences industry, I would say, more broadly, right? It's not just pharma companies anymore. I think, you have biotech
Yeah.
companies
Mm-hmm.
and other things that we like to work with. But things like cost effectiveness analysis, health technology assessment. We have people doing implied and theoretical work in these areas, really helping move the fields forward. But also things like Alzheimer's and dementia related policies, Medicare design and payment policies more generally. The opioid epidemic. You really,
Mm-hmm.
kind of
Yeah.
all the major issues. We've got people here who have done or are working in these areas. And so our students come in, our students aren't pigeonholed into working with a specific person when they enter the program.
Mm-hmm.
They come in, they take the coursework, they meet different faculty members. And so we try to give our students the chance to meet and identify faculty members working on something that they're passionate about, right? That
Yeah.
inspires them, that we think that sort of more organic approach to
Mm-hmm.
identifying mentorship and topics of interest helps set people up for success in their careers in the future.
Yeah, I think that is very profound, in that there are only few PhD programs that are flexible enough to get students on board, and then allow the students to explore the kind of expertise that are in the school, and their research interest, to carve a path for themselves. Most PhD programs will assign you an advisor even before you get to the program, so it becomes difficult to kind of switch and decide when your interest changes. So I want us to discuss a bit about the program. You know, what what specific programs? I know there's a master's degree and there's a PhD option. What are the major offers that are available in the school?
Yeah, so there's in our department there are some programs outside of what we're talking about here. Like I'm the director of the PhD program, and specifically the MS in pharmaceutical health economics and
Okay.
policy.
Hmm.
There is in our department we do offer masters in healthcare decision analysis, biopharmaceutical marketing. Uh, our program, the PhD and the MS program are more research oriented, I would say.
Hmm.
So I think from the PhD standpoint, we're looking at people who want to go into academia, government, industry, consulting. We send students really to kind of all areas. The MS program is, I would say, it's largely for a couple of people. One is someone who wants to ultimately join a PhD program, either
Mm-hmm.
ours or another's, but something with a health economics focus, but maybe needs to demonstrate some additional, either take some additional coursework or demonstrate some research capabilities that, for whatever reason, they haven't quite, they don't feel comfortable, applying for the PhD program yet. That's sort of one avenue. The other, I think, is for the MDs, the PharmDs out there who are
Mm-hmm.
interested in developing a research facility and in learning more about economics, being able to read and produce research. And so we also give some opportunity for them as well.
Okay. So, are there any specific tracks, or, are there any options that, for example, when somebody comes in, a person can say, I'm interested in maybe cost effectiveness research, or I'm interested in pharmacoepidemiology. Are there those options available?
There are. I think we do have some core training that everyone gets. So everyone who comes through our program gets trained in uh, database management,
Mm-hmm.
econometrics, economic theory, and so we do want to end some pharmacoeconomics training. So we do have training that everybody gets. We basically would want any of our students to come out and be able to teach or research in, pharmacoeconomics or health economics. So we do want to make sure everybody covers the basics, but you do have the ability to take different electives and to focus your focus your experience a little more around what your intended career goals are.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we do offer people the opportunity to kind of decide what their career goals are, but a lot of people know what they want to do coming in. So if you know that you want a more industry focused career, and you want to focus more on cost effectiveness analysis, do some additional training, maybe take some classes in the marketing program,
Mm-hmm.
you can do that. Whereas if you want a more of an economic or more of a, excuse me, policy oriented career, or do academic research, you can try to take additional economics courses or additional courses there. So we do have a formal breakdown of what we call the micro track and the pharmacoeconomic track.
Okay.
But those, like I say, they do tend to align more around what your career goals are. But if you're more industry oriented, you tend to go to the pharmacoeconomic track. Whereas if you're more policy oriented or academic oriented, you tend to go to the micro track.
Okay. Okay. Um, I know, like, the application cycle is still opened for fall 2024, right?
Mhm.
And so for the admissions committee, what are some of the key qualities that you're looking for in prospective applicants or students who are looking to apply to your program?
I mean, the number one quality I think for any PhD program really is intellectual curiosity. That's what you
Mm-hmm.
really want, right? It's a long, sometimes difficult road to get a PhD.
Yeah.
It's not an easy thing, and so you really have to, really love, health economics to want to do this.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of the main things that we're trying to understand is, for potential applicants, do we think that they really have the passion for this that's going to help them, be successful over the rigors of the program. So that is, I think broadly what we're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
That said, there is a toolkit that really everyone needs to have to be successful in the PhD program, particularly. Most of what I'm saying is relevant for the master's program as well, but we recognize with our master's students that they may not have the same degree of training that someone does coming into the PhD program.
Yeah.
We're looking for similar types of people, but some of the requirements are a little different. But for the PhD program, we do need students who, we are a quantitative oriented program. We do
Okay.
provide fairly strong training in econometrics and economic theory, but that means you need to have at least some basic, math skills coming in, right? So the ability to, some understanding of statistical concepts, some, basic calculus, ability to do algebraic manipulations. These are things that you're going to have to be able to do kind of from day one. So we need to
Mm-hmm.
be able to identify. So students that can demonstrate the quantitative skills. This is sometimes the hardest for MDs or PharmDs, right?
Yes.
These are people with great training, obviously very intelligent and very educated, but not always with the economic or statistical backgrounds that you
Mm-hmm.
need to jump right into an econometrics course. So that's why sometimes for those students, starting in the master's program is maybe more appropriate.
Okay. Okay. So, in terms of um experiences or prerequisites, I know you've mentioned or you spoken about the background in statistics, or at least some form of competency in manipulating uh maybe statistics or algebra. Are they the only kind of prerequisites that is required for the PhD program? Or in other words, do you have to, for example, earn the masters before you can apply for the PhD, or you can apply for the PhD even from the bachelor's level?
You can apply from the bachelor's level. So uh, there isn't a specific requirement. We don't have a specific requirement in terms or a single background that we look for in people. We
Mm-hmm.
recognize that people have different journeys, so we try to keep uh, to be open to multiple different approaches. So we a lot of our students do come in to the PhD program with prior masters.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty common. And that wasn't as common back when I got my PhD, but it seems to be the
Yes.
rule
Mm-hmm.
now. But we don't require it, and I try to keep we try to definitely we're definitely open to undergraduates applying. Um, I think with the master's program, students coming in from a master's program usually have taken, at least biostatistics or some of
Mm-hmm.
the other
Yeah.
courses
Mm-hmm.
that demonstrate a statistical ability. So we're confident that they have the foundations coming in. So if we are looking at someone from undergraduate, it's typically going to be someone who's in an economics program,
Okay.
has taken some of the
Mm-hmm.
prior courses, maybe in an honors program, something like that, so that we know that they can come in and you know, not compete. We don't think of our students as competing against each other, but to be at the same level or comparable level to
Yeah.
some of our students who come in with master's training.
Okay. Yeah. I think that makes a lot of sense. Um. I- do you conduct interviews after the application, or it's there isn't an interview? If there is an interview, how is the process like?
Yeah, so we take admissions in. Really, we'll be accepting admissions for the rest of the year. There's a early December is the deadline for being considered for some of our competitive fellowship programs,
Mm-hmm.
but we'll take applications, I think, through January or February. I forget. Sorry, I forget off the top of my head what the exact date is, but
Okay.
it's up there on our website. And so we'll take applications in. Basically what happens is that we do we have a committee of faculty members who review the initial applications. We whittle it down to the top. We're a smallish program. We take about 8 to 12 students in a cohort in the
Okay.
PhD program, plus we're a little flexible in the number of MS students. It depends really on the applicant pool.
Okay.
um, but we identify our top, say 30 to 40 applicants, and then we review them as a faculty, and then we identify sort of priority cases and then we reach out to them for interviews and
Okay.
to talk to them. So we're a small enough program that we can do it as a committee of the whole most of the time,
Mm-hmm.
but there'll be some initial kind of screening of the
Screening.
applicants by myself and others.
Okay. Okay. I think that's fair. That's about the same process for most PhD programs. So I want us to explore, the components of the application itself. So for someone who's applying, I know like statement of purpose and objectives is quite common across programs, and as well as recommendation letters and other requirements. But for the personal statement, are there any particular, areas you're looking for in a personal statement? What do you think will make a personal statement stand out for someone who's applying for your program?
Sure. I do think, I know, curious about your experiences, but I imagine it's similar that everything's a little bit idiosyncratic to every particular faculty member doing the evaluations.
Yeah.
Everybody has certain things that they pay more attention to than other people do. So this is a bit of personal experience, personal opinion, but from also what I've seen from others, I think the number one thing from the personal statement for our program is to get at this question of why health economics, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like we are a pretty specialized program, and so just what is it about health policy, about the healthcare system that makes you want to learn more about it, that makes you want to do research or policy in it. So understanding what it is that you're interested in, and because it is specialized, what were the factors that drew you to healthcare specifically?
Yeah.
And then what are some ideas you have coming into it, right? Like we don't expect students to have their dissertation, pre-planned, right? But most people would have some areas that they're interested in,
Yeah.
right? Like and so personal experiences that people have that tie to that or point to that are extremely helpful, right? If
Okay.
if you come in like I was, I think that we need more research. We've had statements, for example, students talking about, loved ones that had, difficulty with access to care, and
Mm-hmm.
that caused them to go study and learn more about the system and some of the particularities and peculiarities of the U.S. healthcare system,
Yeah.
and wanted to learn more about that and wanted to, do research that could help, drive policy that improved a specific area. Those are the types of statements that I think help us learn more about what your motivations are and help us identify the students that are best fit for the program.
Okay. So I think you've summarized it quite well. So in terms of recommendation letters, how many recommendation letters is required, and are there any preference for whether it should be an academic or a professional recommendation?
So we require 3 recommendation letters. I don't know that we necessarily have a strong preference. It has to be somewhat, the best reference letter is one that can speak to the skills that you have
Yeah.
that would translate well to the program. So the academic letters are a little bit more of a natural fit. But so for the professional references, it depends a little bit more on what the context of the professional reference is. Is it someone that you were working in doing research, right?
Okay.
If you're a research assistant, and worked on some papers, then that's obviously a great reference because that speaks to your skills that would be for things you would be doing in the program. So it doesn't have to be academic only, but if it's a non-academic reference, we're looking more for your skills, not necessarily just someone who happens to know you better, if that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah. I think that is quite clear. Um, One other aspect of the application that, I mean, when I posted the flyer, a lot of people some people were, quite disappointed that they had to, for example, write GRE. And I kind of understood it because these days, like some programs, especially in the healthcare field, have kind of waived the GRE. But I understand your point that this is more of of a health economics program. So at least you want to be sure that those coming in have some form of quantitative skills in order to survive in the program. So I wanted to talk about the GRE. Is the GRE required for both the PhD and the master's program? Or, for example, and my second question is that if someone is coming in with a master's program, let's say um, Master of Public Health or Master of Business Administration or Master of, let's say, health policy or something like that, is the GRE still required for the person to report?
Yeah, so we do require the GRE. The way this has been explained to me is that if you require it for anybody, so you have to require it for everybody, for all the
Mm-hmm.
applicants, so it's fair across, so that you don't do in specific waivers.
Okay.
So yeah, so we do require the GRE for the PhD and the MS program. Obviously, the scores that we might consider would be different for the MS program than for the PhD program.
Mm-hmm.
And there is no minimum specific score, but we do require it. We do think that there's information provided there, as I said, about your quantitative skills. Like, certainly recognize all of the issues with the GRE and
Mm-hmm.
standardized testing more generally. And I don't mean to imply that those aren't important considerations, but it is, we have not yet kind of identified a way to guarantee that sort of level of math quantitative skills
Mm-hmm.
that,
Mm-hmm.
students do need coming into the program,
Yeah.
just on sort of a holistic review of the application, short of giving people tests ourselves, which wouldn't solve the underlying issues, and it's not really feasible on a large scale. So we do require it. We do try to, it's one element. It's certainly not the only element, and we don't have minimum scores. But our positions that PhD programs aren't a good place to catch up, right? If you come in without the kind of requisite toolkit, you're
Yeah.
just going to get further behind. And so we, yeah, and we don't think it serves anyone to admit people to a program that they don't have the the training for. So that's sort of where we landed on with the GRE. We did look at other programs, specifically in health economics, sort of that we think that we're kind of closest to, and it seemed like all of them were also still requiring the GRE. So we are requiring it for this admission cycle. It isn't.
Yeah.
I think, like all programs, it's an ongoing discussion, trying to solve hard program problems to guarantee fair access, but
Yeah.
also allowing people to sort to programs that they're able to succeed in.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you on that. Especially for a program that is more quantitatively oriented, it makes sense to at least get some background idea about what uh, the kind of quantitative skills that people are bringing in. And I know a couple of MBA programs to require GRE, so I think it's all for the good of the applicant. You don't want to
Yeah.
be studying from the basics during your PhD program. So in terms of GPA, is there a minimum requirement? Is there a minimum GPA requirement for the PhD or the MSc program?
Yeah, so at the university level, USC has a 3.0 GPA requirement
Mm-hmm.
for all the graduate programs. So that's not something we actually set as a department, but at the university wide requirement. So uh, and so that is the minimum requirement.
Okay.
We tend to focus on we will pay special attention to certain courses, so things like, again, that are relevant for the program, like prior statistics courses in particular, prior economics courses. So
Mm-hmm.
we'll review and put specific emphasis on performance in different areas, and also consider, what a person's background was, where they were studying, things like that. But yeah, we do have the minimum requirement.
Okay. Um, I want us to talk about one of the most important aspects of this conversation, which is scholarships and funding. Everybody knows how it's extremely tough to go through the PhD program. So sometimes when I see programs that are being advertised without any guaranteed funding, it's it becomes quite challenging discussing those issues. So for the PhD program, and if you can also touch on the MSc, that would also be appreciated. What are the financial opportunities or assistantships that are available for the PhD program and then the MSc program?
Yeah, so our program is so our PhD program, I should specify, is basically you're fully funded up through all of our students who maintain, the set kind of academic quality, remain in good academic standing, have funding for up to 5 years in the program.
Okay.
So that includes a full tuition remission, so you don't pay any tuition, a full stipend. It is come with a 20-hour-a-week appointment, either as a graduate assistant or a graduate teaching assistant or research assistant.
Mm-hmm.
We do have a certain number of fellowships for students in to cover for the first 2 years, so that the fellowships are competitive. So that's when we say the early deadline, the December deadline, that's for consideration for one of the fellowships, and those. So all of our students take the same coursework over the first 2 years, but the students who are on fellowship, they don't have to TA or be an RA. Although most of our students, even the TAs and the fellowship students, all tend to get involved in research projects with our faculty over the first 2 years.
Okay.
There's always faculty who are interested in have projects that are interested in working with students, and so it's not hard to find, opportunities for our students to work. But all of our students are funded. There are certain fees and also provided with benefits, so they get healthcare benefits through the university. There are some fees that they pay, but it's for the most part, students come here with full funding.
Great. That's really good to know. How about the master's program?
So the master's program is not funded, and the university does not offer specific financial aid for the master's program. Our master's students are fully funded, fully self-pay. There are, the university has some resources to help students identify, scholarship opportunities, but they don't come through, they don't come through the university.
Okay. So just to summarize, the PhD comes with a guaranteed funding for at least 4 years.
Up to 5.
Up to 5 years. Okay, which includes tuition, stipend, and also some other benefits like health insurance. Okay. But apart from these funding sources, are there any external, for example, partnerships or industry sponsorships that students can explore as part of the scholarship opportunities?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've partnered with a number of entities over the years to provide scholarships. So there are competitive external fellowships that people can apply for. We had I guess it was in the Price program, not our program specifically, the policy PhD who worked in the Schaefer Center, for example, had an HRQ fellowship. We had another student that was working at a fellowship with a lab at MIT. But we also have a number of industry fellowships. So students will, for example, a pharmaceutical company might fund a fellowship for a student that would go once they've completed their coursework and they're in the dissertation stage. There'll be an opportunity to be funded here at USC, and then also to go to the company headquarters, work with people there while pursuing their dissertation work. And so that provides funding for them, to continue their education. So it doesn't affect, the students' pay, right? Like I said, their students are fully paid, fully funded, but so the funding from a student's perspective, the funding kind of is more about what are they working on, right? So are they doing research assistant work from a grant-funded project? Or are they, if it's an industry fellowship, they'll typically be doing some work, some more industry-related work, helping prepare them for their future career, but also still maintaining time to pursue their independent dissertation work.
Great, great, great. We are 8 or 9 minutes past 2:30. If you're joining us, you're on the scholars table. I'm here with Dr. Seabury, who is the director of graduate programs. We've been discussing the opportunities at USC Main graduate programs, the master's and the PhD programs. We've talked about the application processes and scholarships, and what makes your application stand out. I believe it's time to take some questions from our listeners. So we'll start from LinkedIn. Most of the comments are thanking you for joining us today. That's one question from Alhaji Muhammad Kamara, who wants to know, I think we've answered the first part. Is there funding available for the PhD programs? I think we've answered it. And if so, is the application for the funding separate from the admission application?
So there is an application fee that the university charges. It used to be, there's a new policy. It used to be that there was a sort of a university-wide pool of a process for getting an application fee waiver, but they've moved that now to the individual departments. So we're actually, this is sort of our first experience with dealing with fee waivers, with any kind of discretion. So what we are trying to, so we are making a limited number of fee waiver opportunities available.
Okay.
I would encourage students to attend a webinar that we're having, if they're interested, on November 6th.
Okay.
If I don't have the exact details available with me on hand, but if you reach out to either me directly by email or Gladys Flores is the she helps direct the program. We can give you the information on the webinar, and that's and we are going to be making some fee waiver, some application waivers based on that.
Great. That's good to know. So, I mean, in addition to the program being fully funded, you can also request for an application fee waiver, right? So that's really good to know. There's one question from Lawrence Shu. Lawrence Shu has a question about the quantitative part, applying PhD in health economics. Okay, I think he wants to say that he's an applied econ-based student with a pure econometric series course, but not the biostatistics elements. Will he be considered as a competitive applicant?
Yeah, we don't have, we try to provide the training that you need to succeed as a health economist. We don't necessarily expect someone to have a specific background, right? So if you're an economics student and you haven't taken health economics specifically, that's fine. But you're interested in the area, that's fine. We're not requiring any specific classes. If you have some biostatistics background, that usually that just demonstrates that you've got some understanding of statistical methods. We're not really a biostats focus. Our econometrics training it takes a more traditional econometrics approach. And so the biostatistics, sometimes our students will take a biostatistics course separately, just to make sure that they, can talk with some of the people in industry that they'll be dealing with who have more of a biostats background. It's not the focus of our course. So, I think like I said, when I talk about sort of prerequisites, I'm really just trying to, identify students with the comfort level with math generally
Mm-hmm.
to be able to succeed in the program, not any specific course or set of courses that they've taken. We've had students who come in with actually very little economics background, but they were just interested in the area and they were able to, to come through. But it's, like I said, they had the math background that they needed to be able to do that.
Okay, great. Um, so there are tons of questions from Reza. So Reza wants to know how your department partners with industry or with industry. He wants to know how common is it for PhD students to for example have internships with industry folks.
It's very common for us. We both at so a couple different ways this happens. So summer, we offer very little. We have no required summer courses. So summer is left open for students to pursue research opportunities and also internships. So it's actually very common for our students to take a summer internship with um, a, an industry partner or a consulting firm, something like that, to give them some practical experience before they go on the job market. And by I say very common, one of the nice things about our program is that we've got a pretty strong alumni base.
Mm-hmm.
Our alumni. We have regular meetings at ISPOR every year where we get our alumni association gets together. And so when students are interested in pursuing internships, we can reach out to our alumni network to look for opportunities that students can apply for. And so we've had very good luck placing students in summer internships. And then the fellowship opportunities, they're competitive, but we've routinely had several of our, like I say, we admit about 8 to 10 students in a cohort in the PhD program. And it's not uncommon for us to have 3 or 4 on an industry fellowship
Okay.
at some point. And so what the industry fellowship does is basically the industry partner provides funding for the student as well as a faculty member here at USC to kind of provide some direct mentorship,
Mm-hmm.
basically to be there to work with the company to ensure that the students internship is offering educational benefit. And then the students' dissertation work is done independently from the industry fellowship, right?
Okay.
So one of the things that we closely monitor the academic, freedom and opportunities of the student in the fellowship, so that they retain right to publish and full control over the work, and it's not directly related to something they're doing as part of their fellowship.
Great. I think you've answered most of the questions that he has. I think with respect to how long the program typically takes, I know you've mentioned that funding is provided for up to 5 years. So are there instances where there are outliers? Maybe probably somebody taking more than 5 years. Uh, in that case, what happens to the funding?
So there have been outliers in the past. That's typically not an issue in our program. As I said, most I would say of our PhD program students do come in with some prior master's training.
Mm-hmm.
So they've already been in school for a while, and they're not
Okay.
actually looking. So I would actually say that the majority of our students actually probably finish in less than 5 years.
Okay.
The 5 years is what I would imagine. The way the 5-year program's kind of set up is that you have 2 years of coursework, right, where you really where we try to give you the training that you need. A year where that third year can be a transitional phase where you're talking with faculty, you're trying to understand what you want to do for your dissertation, you're
Mm-hmm.
working on ideas, and then you submit your dissertation proposal and then finish in the 4th or 5th year. That's kind of, I think, the standard. the standard pathway for a student.
Oh,
I think if there is an outlier, it could be some sort of life event that happens, that disrupts the student's progress. We do try to keep them on path to successfully finish within 5 years.
mm-hmm.
But if something happens, the university has policies and procedures in place to make sure that, students are supported, and we understand that certain things can happen that can lead to a delay. But these are, I would say, uncommon enough that they're handled on a case-by-case basis.
Great. I think this has been like a very insightful discussion, and our viewers seems to really enjoy this. There are plenty of questions coming in. So, question from Desmond Opare. I believe we've answered this already. How many students are you picking for the PhD program? I believe you said 8 to 10.
Yeah, typically about 8 to 10. So we have a little bit of flexibility, but not a ton in terms of the number of spots that are available. So we have a certain number of slots that are available as fellowship, and then as potential teaching assistants. And then sometimes we can admit 1 or 2 extra if we have some research funding from a faculty member.
Mm-hmm.
So, because we do guarantee funding, we have to have sort of funding sources in line, lined up for when the students do enter. So, we just have to make sure we have that up. So, but it's a competitive program. So it's about 8 to 10 students typically.
Okay. And I have another interesting question here that I believe it's worth answering. This also from Desmond Opare. So Desmond admits that his undergrad GPA is not that strong, but he has an MBA in finance and an MPH. And I mean, for the other requirements, he fulfills them. Can he still apply, or the GP of 3.0? It's like a firm cutoff.
So, this is something I probably need to do a little work on my own to understand kind of how the GPAs across different programs
Yeah.
factor together. Because the 3.0 threshold is a university requirement. And so when it gets to that, for talking about exceptions, I don't want to misspeak, because you know how it goes with universities, right? I can say something, but if the university tells me no, there's not a lot I can do at that point. So I think I'd suggest for questions like that, if people can see Gladys's email from the flyer, reach out to me and to Gladys directly, and we can help identify sort of specific questions like that.
Okay.
And at least try to give you a sense of whether it's worth it to apply, or if there's going to be some administrative roadblock.
Okay. All right. So if you're listening after this program, I'll post the flyer again with the email of Gladys. Then you can reach out to them directly and get more info. Somebody's asking about prior publications. Everybody's scared about publications. They don't have publications. Can they apply to your program?
You don't need publications to apply to our program. I think a lot of students, if they're in a master's program, a lot of them have some publication background, just from working with students, but it's not a prerequisite, and we've certainly accepted students without any prior publications. And I don't, I think we provide an opportunity, I believe, in the application for students to submit those. But it's not, as I said, it's not a requirement, and I don't know that I wouldn't say that someone without a prior publication is going to be penalized. Our view is that we're just trying to identify people who, will make good health economists, and we will get you plenty of publications here in the program to be successful on the back end. So we're not necessarily overly worried about that on the front end.
Okay. So Desmond, you've heard. If you don't have a publication and you still meet all those requirements, please apply. Don't self-reject. Um,
That's right.
there's a question from Olalekan Popula. Sorry if I'm murdering your name. He wants to know, does a PhD health economics have any decision sciences component or courses that addresses that? Also, I think your second question is yes. He wants to know whether it's entirely US based program or there are global health angles as well.
Yeah, we you can certainly do global health topics. You could do a dissertation on with more of a global focus, and that would be certainly welcomed. In terms of decision health, um, we do have, we're a multidisciplinary program. We like to say, we do have offer opportunities. So, for example, I'm not sure if this is exactly what they're getting at, but we do have a number of students who've come in with interest in behavioral economics sort of approaches,
Mm-hmm.
and so, thinking about just sort of more psychological approach to economics. And we've had students take behavioral courses and do dissertations that kind of focus on that area. I'm not sure if that's exactly what they mean by decision sciences,
Yeah.
but we do have, and so we have a set of core courses that students take, but beyond that, we've got opportunities to do electives in multiple other areas that students find interesting. So, as I said, behavioral economics, or more psychological behavioral approaches, machine learning. A lot of students have
Mm-hmm.
taken are
Yeah.
increasingly interested in taking electives in that area. Marketing, more business oriented courses. So we again, we're a small enough program that we do have, it's not hard to figure out ways for students to kind of tailor their experience to what most interests them.
Great. There's a question from Frida Salom. She wants to know, are there any advantages of coming in with a PharmD over a bachelor's for the master's program?
I think the advantage of having a PharmD is it demonstrates your sort of interest and experience in the area of pharmaceuticals. So I think I wouldn't say that a PharmD specifically advantages you over a BA. It's more, it's more about your background, like depending on what the BA would be in. But it's certainly, we welcome students with PharmDs in the master's program, as long as, the only challenge with the PharmDs, and this is the same challenge that other students have, is just being able to demonstrate that you do have the skills that would be needed to be successful, and making it clear to the admissions committee what your objective is, what you hope to get out of the program, right? We're not necessarily a great substitute, our program, for like an MBA, right? If you're specifically looking for a more business-oriented courses, I would suggest, in our department, the healthcare decision analysis or pharmaceutical marketing programs are a little more business-oriented.
Mm-hmm.
We are definitely more of a research-oriented program. So, if you can show that you have an interest in health economics from a research perspective, then we're really open to most backgrounds, including PharmDs, MDs, and someone from coming from an undergraduate program.
Okay, great to know. I believe we have like 4 or 5 minutes to go. We still have a couple of questions that I think we can address. So we have a question from Harry Jima Jemfi. I think we've answered this question already. He wants to know if there are cutoff point for the GRE. Are there any specific score that the program is looking for?
No, we're not looking for a specific score per se. Like I say, it's there's no one element of the application that's a make or break, or necessarily more important than any others. We try to pay attention to the whole application. The GRE, the student's transcript, references, personal statement. They're all important, and as saying, they're kind of different elements might be more or less important to different individual faculty members. When making their evaluations. So yeah, obviously, we want to be able to demonstrate that we require the test for a reason. It's something we consider. So
Yeah.
we use it to see whether we think a student has the skills necessary to compete in the program. Um, but there's no threshold, no specific level that we're looking for.
Okay. Thank you so much. I think the rest of the questions are really about people showing their interest. So I'll post the details of the program again, so that those who just joined us will have an idea on how to apply. So the application cycle is currently open. Priority deadline is, I believe, December 1st, right? And
Yeah.
then yeah, okay. So I'll post the details once again. We have 2 minutes. I think our last segment has been answered indirectly for us, but I want us to talk briefly about what has been the career trajectory of most of the students. Are they typically more in academia or industry, or it's about average between the two areas?
I would say probably the majority of our students do go into industry. Not a strong majority but I would say definitely a majority. That's I think a lot of our students come in knowing that that's what they want to do, and we've had a lot of success placing students in good industry positions. So I think that's definitely, I would say, the most common. But we also have students going into like I say, consulting, more government, policy oriented
Yeah.
positions, and academia. So I guess I think I'm thinking of our current fourth year class, or sort of our most senior cohort right now, and I would say there's 8 of them, and I think 2 are sort of leaning towards more of an academic career.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say 4 are probably pretty set on an industry career, and then the last 2 are is still a little unsure, are trying to leave their options open in that regard. Now, I would say that's fairly typical.
Okay.
But we certainly, so we definitely think we're a good option if you're interested in a health economics academic career. We've been able to place students in faculty positions and postdocs positions. But I would
Okay.
say a more common route is probably an industry career.
Industry, yeah. I know a lot of people are excited about the industry route. So I think that is all I have for this segment. But I would like us to um answer a question from Trang. Trang wants to know whether it's necessary for applicants to have a specific research proposal or idea before applying to the PhD program.
No. I mean, I think your research. We want to make sure that you get the sort of training that you need before developing specific research proposals.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that comes after you go through the coursework, to get to the PhD level. So, when I say interest and research, it's more about why do you want to spend the next several years of your life, learning about health economics and preparing yourself for a career in health economics. So that's about, so if you have ideas of things that interest you, that's great, but there's no requirement of a specific proposal.
Okay. I think it's quite refreshing to know how flexible the program is, and how students can kind of carve their own path once they get into the program. So Trang, I hope you've heard it. You don't need to pin down any specific research program before you apply. Um, so for those of you who are still asking questions, probably you can send a direct message or email to Gladys and also to Dr. Seth for them to answer your questions. There's one from Christabel, which I believe the answer should be yes. She says she has a master's in health economics and pharmacoeconomics from Spain. She's interested in academia, especially in health economics. She's asking whether she stands a chance to get a PhD admission. I believe it should be yes, but I mean,
Yeah, absolutely. Please, send your application in, or reach out to us, and we can talk more. But yeah, absolutely. Like that sounds like a great background of someone who would be a potential fit for our program.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much. Dr. Seth. This has been really enlightening. Before you go, any concluding thoughts or last words for applicants and current PhD students?
Like I said, if you have additional questions, reach out to us. Like I said, the webinar on November 6th, hopefully we'll be able to help address a lot of those. We'll give more details about the curriculum and what we do. That would be the main thing for the viewers, and just for yourself, thank you for what you're doing here. This is the sort of resource that would have been really helpful. I know when I was applying to graduate programs, we didn't really have that many things like this. Your ability to get insight into the process is pretty limited. So I think it's great trying to give some more transparency and help students figure it out.
Sure. Thank you so much. And I'm also really honored and appreciative of the fact that you left your busy schedule to be here with us today to share your thoughts on the application process. So thank you so much. I'll be sharing your contact, your email on LinkedIn, and I'm hoping a lot of students will start reaching out and see how it goes. So thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your week.
Great. Thank you for having me.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
All right. So if you just joined us, I hope this has been an insightful conversation. I'm particularly really interested about this program. Its flexibility, the resources it's offering for students, the scholarships, the fact that you can apply for an application waiver. You don't have to identify an advisor or a research proposal before you apply. All these flexibilities makes it quite, different from other programs. So please don't hesitate to apply. If whether you have an MD or PharmD or MPH, or you're coming from the bachelor's level, you are still eligible to apply. Application cycle is currently opened, and priority deadline for some of the competitive fellowships is December 1st. So thank you all so much for joining us. For those who haven't submitted the application yet, there's no need to rush, because I have a couple of program directors that I'll be interviewing in the next couple of weeks. I'm planning to interview them before November 15th, because I've told most of my mentees to submit the application around November 15th. That is when we've been able to explore all the strategies, talk to all the program directors that would really help you to streamline your application. So thank you so much. If this is your first time joining me, I'm Dr. Manda Khalifa. I'm a PhD student here at the Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health. We streamed on LinkedIn and on YouTube. So if you're new, currently follow or subscribe to our YouTube channel. So see you very soon, I believe in 3 days' time, where I'll be interviewing Paul Wong, who is the program associate for the Johns Hopkins MPH program. What we are going to talk about is mainly about sponsorships and scholarships. So thank you so much for joining us today. Have the best rest of the evening. Bye-bye.
completed my MPA degree at the Harvard TH School of Public Health this past summer. Last year, during my application process, I had the pleasure of working with Dr. Banda Khalifa, who is a friend and a senior colleague. Dr. Banda's knowledge and experience of the graduate application process made it easier to write an outstanding personal statement, also aim for the right test course and finding the right people to write recommendation letters for me. He also gave me a really good insight about the funding landscape available for me for my education. I was able to get admission into most of the top schools that I applied for, including Johns Hopkins, Columbia University, Boston University, and then Harvard University. Yeah, so if you are actually looking to advance your studies and you're looking for a good and friendly coach, I would recommend no other person than Dr. Banda.
Hi everyone, I am Dr. Banda Khalifa, a PhD student at Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health and an MPH MBA Summer Scholar alum. I've navigated the graduate school application process, gaining admission into institutions like Harvard, Yale, Columbia, and Johns Hopkins. And now I'm here to help you on your journey. Remember, the journey to graduate school may seem tough, but with the right tools and mindset, you'll be on your way to success. Don't forget to check out my other videos for more tips and insights. Until then, keep learning, keep growing, and keep pushing forward. Dr. Banda signing off.
Hello everyone, I am Emmanuel Animashan. I'm a Nigerian physician. I met Dr. Banda sometime last year. I remember I had a very difficult time trying to prepare my application packages to schools of public health in the United States, and I went online in search of information, and then I came across his LinkedIn profile. I remember I connected with him, and then I spent a long day going through his profile, and I found really very interesting things where he had shared insights into a lot of the application, a lot of components of the application process. I also eventually got to follow his YouTube account. I saw a lot of videos, and I saw that he had a lot of stuff that were quite inspiring. For one, I liked the fact that he had gone through the process. He had really nice admission offers when he was going to move to the United States, and that gave me some sort of assurance that he had gone through it, and I could as well go through the same process that he had gone through using the advice that he had given. It was really helpful. He also organized a couple of live sessions. I remember where he brought in faculty, people who were in charge of admissions in some of these schools, and that was really very helpful for me. And I followed this process. Basically, I followed through with everything that he recommended, and I got really good results. At the end of the application cycle, I got admitted into Johns Hopkins University, Harvard, Yale, Emory, and I mean, those were like I really didn't apply to much schools because I sort of believed in the processes that he had outlined, and I got admitted into the schools that I applied to, and I got really good scholarship offers too. I eventually chose to come to Hopkins, where I'm currently enrolled in the MPH dual degree program, and I must say it was also very helpful in selecting which school I would eventually come to, because I had a really tough time trying to decide. When you have really good offers, you have a hard time deciding, and it was very helpful. I recommend that everyone who is applying to schools of public health or to graduate school generally in the United States should definitely follow Dr. Banda on his LinkedIn, his YouTube, follow him everywhere, and you can be rest assured that he's always ready to answer your questions and attend to your concerns. You don't even have to necessarily always speak with him. Just by following his pages and following up with the activities, you definitely are on a good path. Thank you.
Hi, my name is USC Mann, and I'm a physician from Ghana. 2 years ago, I decided to apply for the dual degree MPH and MBA at Hopkins. So I went onto the Hopkins website and looked for current and past students who had gone through the program. And I was happy to see a Ghanaian face there. I saw Dr. Banda on the Hopkins website. So I looked him up on LinkedIn, reached out to Dr. Banda on LinkedIn because I had specific questions about the dual degree MBA MPH program here and about the summer scholarship as well, because I was interested in, he was doing the program under the summer scholarship. He answered my questions, helped me assess my fit for the program, and down the line also talked me through how to communicate with school officials with some of the different questions I had and who to talk to as well. Fast forward, today I'm here at Hopkins. I'm a dual degree student pursuing my MBA and MPH. I'm a summer scholar, and I go into all the schools I applied to. So if you're thinking of applying for graduate school here, whether it's an MPH or a PhD program, I recommend watching his videos on YouTube and LinkedIn because they have very helpful information in there. Thank you.